Hey everyone, and welcome back to MetaCast. I'm John.
And I'm Maya.
And we are so glad you could join us for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're heading into the world of Lego Horizon Adventures.
A Lego game based on a video game.
It's like a game within a game.
Exactly.
So for all of you listening out there, we know you're probably wondering if this game actually lives up to all the hype.
Well, to help us figure that out, we'll be taking a look at a review by Ulises Contreras from Level Up.
It was published just a couple days ago on November 13th, and let me tell you, it is packed with detail. So Maya, what jumped out at you from this review?
Well, the first thing that really struck me was what Level Up had to say about the visuals.
Okay.
They called them phenomenal.
Wow.
Some of the best they've ever seen in a Lego game.
Really?
And they really emphasized the detail, saying it feels like you're looking at a real-life Lego diorama.
Whoa, hold on. A diorama?
Yeah.
That is a really interesting way to put it. You know what that makes me think of? Like those really elaborate Lego creations you sometimes see at conventions.
Exactly. And it's not just that the characters are made of Legos, it's the environment, too.
Oh, wow.
The trees, the buildings, even the landscape, it's all constructed from Legos.
I see.
And according to the review, that's what really sells this whole diorama feel and adds to how immersive it is.
That makes total sense. I can definitely see how all that detail could really draw you into the world. But, visuals are only one part of the equation.
Right.
What about the gameplay itself? Like, how does Lego Horizon Adventures actually play?
Well, they describe it as a classic action-adventure game with a little bit of platforming thrown in.
Okay.
So think accessible, instantly fun, the kind of game you can just pick up and enjoy.
Okay, but we are talking about Horizon Zero Dawn here. I mean, you've got to be facing off against those iconic robot dinosaurs, right?
You are.
What'd the reviews say about the combat?
Oh, the combat is where the game really shines, according to the reviewer. You play as Aloy, wielding her signature bow and arrow, just like in the original game. But here's the twist. Each enemy type has specific weaknesses that you need to exploit to beat them.
Ooh, so there's like a strategic layer to it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, the review also mentioned different difficulty levels.
Yes.
How do those come into play?
Well, they do. And the reviewer specifically mentioned that the hardest difficulty setting is really challenging.
Oh, really?
You have to really think about your weapon choices, how you use gadgets, and, of course, using the environment to your advantage.
Okay.
They even have explosive hot dog carts.
Hold on, explosive hot dog carts. That's a Lego twist I was not expecting.
Yeah. Sounds fun, right?
It sounds like they really leaned into the whole fun factor with this game.
They did.
But you're not just stuck playing as Aloy, are you? What about other characters from the Horizon universe?
You're right, you're not just limited to Aloy. You can play as other fan favorites like Varl, Erend, and Teresa. And each character has their own unique weapons and abilities, which adds a lot of variety to the combat. The reviewer also mentions the co-op mode, so you can team up with a friend to take on the robot dinos.
That's awesome. Okay, so lots of options for how to play. That's great. But for anyone who might be unfamiliar with the Horizon world, how does Lego Horizon Adventures handle this story? Is it a direct adaptation or something else?
Think of it as a retelling of Aloy's origin story, but in a way that's very simplified and family-friendly. The reviewer made it clear that this game is meant to be a great entry point for newcomers to the Horizon universe.
That's a smart move. Introduce a whole new generation to the franchise through Legos. I love that.
Yeah.
But let's be real, no game is perfect.
True.
There were some criticisms in the review, right?
There were. The main one was the level design. The reviewer found it a bit too linear.
Oh, okay.
They said it was fun, but ultimately got a little repetitive. And they go on to explain that in more detail, saying that sometimes it feels like you're just moving down a corridor.
Oh, so you don't really get that feeling of discovery and open world exploration that's such a big part of the original Horizon game.
Right. Yeah, they highlighted that the game just doesn't have many surprises or really open areas that you can explore.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's like the difference between exploring a huge open wilderness
Right.
versus navigating a really well-marked hiking trail.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And while the reviewer saw this as a drawback,
Uh-huh.
it's worth noting that this could actually be a good thing for some players. Like younger players, for example, might find it less overwhelming and more engaging because the game has this very clear progression.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody wants or needs a giant open world.
Right.
Sometimes a more focused experience can be just as satisfying. Okay, so we've talked about the visuals, the gameplay, the story. We even touched on some of the criticisms.
Yeah.
What else stood out to you from this review? What really grabbed you?
Well, one thing that really impressed me was how well the game managed to capture the essence of Horizon Zero Dawn, but put it in a Lego world.
It's really cool that they could take this complex, post-apocalyptic world filled with robot dinosaurs
I know.
and turn it into something fun and accessible for a wider audience.
And I think that speaks to the appeal of Lego games in general.
Yeah,
They can take these well-known franchises and reinterpret them in a way that feels both familiar and fresh.
it's like introducing these worlds to a whole new generation. And for longtime fans, it's a chance to revisit those stories, but with a different lens.
Yes.
A more playful, lighthearted perspective.
Exactly. And speaking of playful, the review actually mentioned the game's sense of humor,
Oh, nice.
saying that the cutscenes were well done and really funny.
Really? Do you have anything specific? Like, what kind of humor are we talking about here?
Well, I don't want to spoil any of the jokes, but the reviewer said there's a good balance of humor for both kids and adults.
Okay.
With some clever references to both the Horizon games and Lego itself.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah,
But it sounds like they pulled it off.
they did.
So we've got these great visuals, engaging combat, a family-friendly story, a good dose of humor.
Yep.
What else did the review highlight?
Well, they really liked the audio design. They said it captures that epic feel of the Horizon world perfectly, but adds a distinct Lego twist.
Uh-huh.
They especially called out the soundtrack.
Oh, cool.
You know those really iconic melodies from Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah?
Well, they're all there, but they're reimagined with instruments that are a little more whimsical.
So you're hearing familiar themes, but with a touch of Lego charm added in. I like that.
Me too. And it's not just the music. The sound effects are great too.
Nice.
Everything from the machines whirring to the sounds of the Lego bricks, it's all done with so much detail, and it really feels authentic.
It's those little touches that really make you feel like you're in the game. It's not just about what you see, but what you hear, too.
Sure.
Okay, so let's take a step back and think about everything we've learned about LEGO Horizon Adventures. It sounds like we have a game with fantastic visuals,
We do.
engaging combat, a fun and easy-to-understand take on Aloy's story, a good sense of humor, and really impressive audio design.
We do. Though we also know that the linear level design might be a bit of a turnoff for some players, especially those who really enjoyed the open world aspect of the original Horizon games.
That's true. And even though that design choice makes the game easier to get into for younger players, it does mean sacrificing some of that depth and freedom that Horizon Zero Dawn is known for. But the review mentioned something I think is worth looking into a little deeper. They talked about how LEGO Horizon Adventures kind of felt like a missed opportunity in some ways.
Yeah, they felt like some of the gameplay mechanics could have been fleshed out more. For example, they mentioned stealth, which is a big part of Horizon Zero Dawn, but feels underutilized in the LEGO version.
You know, they're right. If you think about Aloy's signature playstyle, she's all about using her surroundings to her advantage, taking out enemies quietly and strategically.
Right.
That seems like a perfect fit for a LEGO game where it's all about creativity and solving problems.
Absolutely. Imagine what they could have done. They could have made levels based around stealth challenges where you have to use Lego pieces to distract enemies or build hiding spots.
That would be awesome. It's a shame they didn't really explore that too much. And the review also said that the building mechanics felt a little shallow.
Right.
You can customize your base, but it doesn't seem like it has a huge impact on the game overall.
Which is such a missed opportunity.
I get it.
Building is such a core part of the Lego experience. And
Yeah.
so great to see them make building a bigger part of the puzzles or even the combat.
I know. Imagine if you had to build a bridge to get across a giant gap, or put together some kind of makeshift weapon to take down a really tough machine.
That would have been so cool.
The possibilities are endless.
It would have made the game so much more interesting and engaging.
Well, it sounds like we've given the developers some food for thought,
Yeah.
if they ever decide to make a sequel, that is. Speaking of things they did include, though, the review did talk about the game's accessibility features.
Oh, yeah.
What did they have to say about those?
Oh, they were really happy with them. They said the game includes lots of different options to make it easier for people with different needs to play.
That is so awesome. It's always great to see developers thinking about accessibility so that more people can enjoy the game.
Absolutely.
They pointed out things like adjustable difficulty levels, customizable controls, and even options for subtitles and closed captions.
Right. Those are all so important for people who might otherwise have trouble enjoying the game.
It really shows that they're committed to making the game inclusive.
It does.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the visuals, the gameplay, the story, the humor, the things they could have done better, and even the accessibility features.
I think you have a pretty good idea now of what LEGO Horizon Adventures has to offer.
Yeah, you should be able to figure out if this game is right for you.
And if you're still unsure, I'd say give it a shot. It's a really fun and charming game,
Yeah,
and I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you like LEGO or Horizon.
I totally agree. And even if it's not really your thing, it's always cool to see how they take these different franchises
Right.
and turn them into Lego games.
Yeah, it really shows how much people love Legos and how they can appeal to people of all ages.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
Thanks again for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's always great to chat with you.
Always a pleasure.
And to you, our listeners, thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you found this deep dive informative and maybe even a little fun.
We'll see you next time.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a topic you're curious about. Until then, happy gaming, everyone.